Welcome back to the channel. It's Richie here. This is Dowie After Dark, and I am joined by the Dowie Czar himself, Tom Carley.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me, Richie.
Yeah, no problem at all, mate. So basically, everybody, I have decided to get Tom back onto the show. Everybody seemed to like him on last time, so I thought we would today delve deeper and darker into the Chaos Wastes and talk about the Arcane Journals. Now, the reason I wanted to get Tom on for this is because he has been working on a Sea of the Wolves list, which is pretty tasty. I have played against it myself. I did take a fun Slayer army against it, and it absolutely smashed me. So I just want to go.
So you took the best Slayer you possibly could take, and he couldn't stand up to it.
No, and the fact that you didn't even bring the Dragon Ogres on. So big sad, big sad.
Big sad.
Uh,
But yeah, no, it's great fun.
Yeah, it is a really good book. So basically, we're going to be taking a slight break from the normal dwarf content, and we are going to be going through the Arcane Journal and talking about our thoughts on the unit, about the synergies in the book. So if you're interested in some chaos, stick around.
100%. And one of the things we were talking about just before we click record here, as much as the focus of the channel is dwarves, you've got to know your enemy. Sun Tzu, know your enemy, beat your enemy.
Yeah, 100%. So I was literally saying earlier that I have this really, really bad habit of not reading the other Arcane Journals and the other books. I just like to play against stuff and then see the really cool tricks kind of happen to me. But then that does mean that I get absolutely smashed about 12 times in a row until I work out what they're doing. So realistically, I probably should read these. So
yeah, for all the other budding generals out there, Richie did it the hard way, so you don't have to. And here's
yeah,
the series.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So I haven't actually read this. I have played against the Arcane Journal armies a few times now, but I still haven't read it. I haven't even looked at the Warpfire dragon rules, apart from the fact that it turns off ward saves, and I just call bullshit straight away.
So the headline of the book is Three Dragons. That's the headline of the book. It's not the depth of it, but it's the first immediate thing is you go, oh, rare slot dragon, cool.
And giant spawn, to be fair.
Giant spawn. It's not the be all and end all of the list. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of fun, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, right. Well, let's have a quick look.
So the first of the two armies that we got in here is the Wolves of the Sea. For fans of Total War Warhammer, this is Norska. There's no mammoths, unfortunately, but
That is a bit of a
we go
shame.
up. It is a shame. Drop to the mold. But just running real quick down the thing. We've got in characters still 50%, a Chaos Lord, a Demon Prince, or a Sorcerer Lord.
Pretty
Now this is
spicy.
a big change. It's a big departure. It's one. You got to choose between them. Every list that we've seen in tournaments has had two of these guys coming at you. Sometimes it's two of the same, but it's normally at least one of each. Then we've got 0 to 1 Exalted Champion or Exalted Sorcerer per 1,000 points. And then Aspiring Champions and a new unit entry, Marauder Tribe Chieftains. Just darting down to the card in the bottom right corner there for Battle Standard Bearers. Importantly, in this list, Exalted Champions cannot be your BSB, which is a very big thing for a lot of lists.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, actually. I mean, I suppose the Arcane Journals are kind of doing this quite a bit. So, in like the Dwarf one, the Runesmiths being made into the Battle Standard Bearers is quite good. I mean, a lot of people haven't been doing it. I'm currently trying it, so I'm enjoying that at the moment.
Yeah, and you do still get two options, and it's the Aspiring Champion or the Marauder Tribe Chieftain, so you do still have the two options like you did in the Grand Army.
What's the point difference by taking the BSB? What would you say is the point to try and take that character as the BSB?
So one of the things that you have in Wolves of the Sea is you don't have that leadership bunker. Justifying taking a Chaos Lord in this list is pretty hard because everyone wants a level 4. So it means that you're immediately not maxing out your leadership as high as it might be. So BSB really handy for re-rolling those break tests. There aren't actually any crazy expensive banners in here that I'd want him for.
No, not a single one.
No, not really. It's not like Dwarves where you have one where it's BSB only, and so you're locked into it. And like, I really want to take the BSB so I can take that banner.
Yeah.
You can take a Chaos Army and never even look at the BSB and be just fine.
It just doesn't compute, mate. Honestly, it just doesn't compute.
Yeah. So that's our characters. It's slim. Core still 25%. So you got Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, Marauder Tribe Berserkers, a new unit entry, and Chaos Warhounds. Now we'll go into these in a bit more detail, but although it looks slim, there's a lot of play in this core section because
Oh yeah, 100%.
all of these are build your own. You know, you can have a lot of play out of Marauders and have 4 units, 4 different equipped ways to do 4 different tasks.
Yeah, I really like the idea of lots of Marauders anyway,
So
to be
yeah,
fair. I think it looks quite good. Maybe not with the Games Workshop models, but there are definitely some different like 3D print designers that have got some really good stuff going. Or you could even use the this is like the Underworld gangs. No, it's
well,
not
you've got the
the Chaos.
Dark Oath that just came out for Age of Sigmar. I mean, you'd be spending, and you're talking new car money to do this list, but it'd look really nice.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So special 50%, Chaos Warriors, Chaos Chariots, my boys, the best puppies in the world, Skin Wolves, Marauder Tribe Huscarls. There's another new unit entry, and Chaos Spawn. Rare. Now this is the spicy bit. 33%. It's monster time. So whilst we didn't get the mammoth, we can bring a lot of monster. So we've got Chaos Ogres, Chaos Trolls, and Dragon Ogres. New unit, Giant Spawn of Chaos, 1 per 1,000. 1 Dragon Ogre Shaggoth per unit of Dragon Ogres, and 1 Chaos Giant per 1,000 points. I would love to see the day where we see 3 Chaos Giants running at you, but I'm yet to see it.
I think it'd be quite good. I would prefer to see that coming at me than 3 dragons, to be perfectly honest.
100%. And you may be screaming at me, but Tom, there's not 3 dragons here. We'll get there. We'll get there. This is not the list if you want to go Mega Dragon. Now, you have got the special character that comes in this book, Galrauch, but other than that, it's just your character. So this is at most 2, but
See,
I don't think if you want to run dragons, I don't think you run this list.
No, I think for me, this is more the kind of like thematic Norska list that's got all the skin wolves, got all the marauders kicking around. Like, yeah, if you play Total War, then this is that list really, but without the bloody mammoths, isn't it?
This is it. This is it. And I mean, you could totally sub in a mammoth or a bone grinder giant if you want. We've done it personally. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. I was
it's
going
not
to say Alex has actually done that. To be perfectly honest.
yeah, it's not good, but you can. Favor of the gods. Everyone's favorite special rule for characters gets a little bit better in this army. So if a character, not a unit champion, just a character with a Wolves of the Sea army kills their opponent in a challenge, they must immediately roll on Gaze of the Gods. In addition, should a unit within a Wolves of the Sea army claim a standard as a trophy of war, they may immediately roll on the Gaze of the Gods table. So this is good. This is very good.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So how does that work? Is it the champion that gets the Gaze of the Gods, or is it the entire unit that gets the Gaze of the Gods?
No, so in the case where they capture a standard, it's the whole unit.
No, nice.
If
So
it's a
potentially, yeah, so potentially getting +1 attack, weapon skill, maybe stupid.
Well, you say maybe stupid, it's a rite of passage now for new Wolves of the Sea players that the first time you do roll a unit on this table, you will roll stupid. It's a rite of
Yeah,
passage.
100%.
Yeah. And it will be with that unit that you've sunk 1,000 points into as well, because it's just the way things are. Well, what this enables you to do is it enables you to take a lot of weaker characters and eschew unit champions. And this is where the Marauder Tribe Chieftain comes in. So if you do want to run wide, you don't take your unit champions in units, take a bunch of Marauder Tribe Chieftains instead and run them in there. They're taking the challenges, and you might only be running them at 75 points each, but at the end of the game, they're on 6 attacks, weapon skill 9, strength 11, because you've rolled Gaze of the Gods that many times.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
it's a big if, but we play Chaos to reach the stratosphere. You know, if you,
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
basically
about
with chaos, it's
reliability.
as many high quality attacks as possible, isn't it?
Seaborne Raiders is the next one. Now, this is where I love the thematic part of the list here, and this is where it really comes through. You can give a load of your army ambush for 1 point a model or 10 points for characters. It's cool. Ambush
Yeah.
is made to work even better in this list through the special character Frydaal as well, which we'll get to in a little bit.
I mean, we love to see it. Like ambush is always a
Yeah.
fun little rule. Like it's not necessarily the best rule in the world. I think like scout would have been much better for them. But I suppose
Mhm.
being able to pop up on a 4. I mean, is there any way that you can get to re-roll that with anything? Or
This is what Frydaal does. Frydaal allows you to put a +1/-1 to it.
yeah, well, yeah, perfect. It's a reason to take it then.
Yeah, yeah. She's expensive. We'll get to it, but if you're going heavy into ambush, she's worth the investment. You also get to take some mercenaries. I forgot to talk about, which is the gore herds and the ungore herds, which obviously both of those can have ambush too. So you can really lean heavily into this ambush mechanic. I did glaze over them quickly because you're not really going to take them unless you're doing a fun thing. But if you are going full ambush, it's cool.
I mean, there might be some people that just want to go full funsy ambushing everyone. I mean, probably not, but there's bound to be a couple of people.
Yeah, 100%, and I respect you for doing so.
Ah, yeah.
Um, Now this next bit is going to catch a lot of people off guard. Warriors Duel.
See, I love this
There's a,
rule. It's great.
no,
The
there's a
couple of
lot of
caveats,
text here.
yeah, like the
Yeah,
caveats that you'll get to in a minute, kind of ruin it for me because I think you should be made to take this all the time. I think it's amazing. I think it should
yeah.
just happen. Do you know what I mean?
So there's a lot of text here. I'm going to boil it down because a lot of this is weird kind of legalese language, and we're just going to. This is what happens. So you choose as the Chaos player a one wound champion from your army. He steps into the middle of the board. He declares a challenge against another one wound champion model from your enemy's army, who also walk into the middle of the board. They fight valiant combat. No one counts as charging. You just walk forwards. You get none of the benefits of your unit, so it's just what they're equipped with. Whoever wins gets the first turn.
I
The
think it's great.
caveats.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like it's so thematic. It's so thematic. I absolutely love to see it. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. Now, it says here straight up in the rules if the challenge is declined, Rules of the Sea counts as having won. Now, there are TOs who are ruling at the moment that if you have no way of accepting the challenge, so Ogre Kingdoms, or if you've taken no champions in your army, it just doesn't happen. That's real sad because we love to see cool rules being used. But if there's no fight, there's no fight. No one can win.
It is a bit of a shame. It would have been quite nice if maybe you could get like low level heroes to take it instead. Would be nice. I
Yeah,
think that could be fun.
it could be. Problem is, low level heroes and chaos armies are just really good for their
Yeah.
points, But this is where you have to actually take this rule into account with your list building, especially when we're talking at a tournament level and competitive level play. Whenever we're deploying, we're always deploying considering, am I going to get first turn? I should maybe be a bit safe in case I don't, or whatever. Wolves of the Sea can go hyper aggressive and
Yeah,
just
and
push
then
forwards, knowing you're
like
getting first turn.
yeah, like you've got this the other way around as well. So like as a player playing against the Wolves of the Sea Army, I probably know myself that I am probably going to go second because I'm going to decline it because I don't want to lose any of my champions. So I know going into playing against you or playing against this army that I'm going to be going second. So I can set up knowing that the Chaos Army is going to rush me and that I'm going to be able to get in with either my shooting or like line up some tasty
Mhm.
charges and stuff. So it's good for the Wolves of the Sea Army, but it's also really good for you as well, knowing that you're going to be going second because it means that you can prepare for that.
And it's good for the game in general because anything that changes the dynamism of the game and the way we interact with it is healthy for me. And this changes things for the better. So
Yeah,
I'm all
100%.
for it.
So next up, we're going to be having the Heralds of Darkness. If you really like horses, then this is probably the list for you, and dragons as well. So if you like
Mm.
horses and dragons, then you should probably play this one.
So let's get straight into it. Characters 0 to 1 Chaos Lord or Demon Prince, 0 to 1 Exalted Champ or Sorcerer or Lord per 1,000 points. This is what I'm talking about, more open characters. Same as the Grand Army. Expiring champions or exalted sorcerers as much as you like, and exalted champions or aspiring champions can be BSB. So this is Grand Army. It's no different. Core, 33%. So much bigger, heavier core investment here, and you must take 1 unit of Chaos Knights. Take
That's
Marauder
such a
Horsemen.
shame that you're going to want to take. Like, oh no, I've got to
I
take these
know,
really, really good models. What a shame.
I know. I actually think the normal Chaos Knights are better than the chosen ones as well, point for point.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I 100% agree. 100% agree. Just loads of
yeah,
Chaos Knights running around in with drills in little marching columns everywhere is an absolute nightmare. Getting Arcane Urgency. It's horrendous to deal
yeah,
with.
yep. And then you've got Marauder Horsemen, Chaos Warhounds, and you can take a Chaos Chariot as a core choice. So that's cool. Special 50%, 0 to 1 unit of chosen Chaos Knights. I thought that was odd personally. I thought there would have been allowed to take as many chosen knights as you wanted in the knight army. The next unit, the new one, is what they want you to take. 0 to 1 chosen chariot per 1,000 points. So this is chosen chaos warriors on the back of a chariot. It's cool. It's
Have
cute.
you ever seen that in real life though? Because I haven't yet.
I haven't seen anyone run this list. This entire list. So chosen chariot, chaos spawn, chaos chariots, and chimeras, and dragon ogres. So everything's fast here. Rare, 25% as normal. Nothing special here. Gore beast chariots, dragon ogre shaggers per dragon ogres. 1 giant, 0 to 1 giant spawn, so he's back per 1,000 points. A giant, and here's the big boy, 0 to 1 Warpfire dragon.
Nice.
Because what did we need in chaos? More dragons.
See, I really like the Warpfire dragon actually. Like it's probably one of my favorite of the old Forge World models as well, and the rules are quite spicy.
Oh, they're stunning. Mercenaries, Centaur chieftains, and Centaur herds. I think they're really worth mentioning at this point because they're very cool. You know, this does actually give you a little bit more punch. I love Centaurs. I'm a Beastman player as well. Centaur are great.
Plus, the other thing that this army does kind of need a little bit is maybe potentially a little bit more like chaff, like high strength chaff anyway, because these are better than the Marauder horsemen by far.
Yeah, and they can ambush as well. So,
Yeah.
and great weapons are lovely. So the special rules. So the special rules. Now, the first one's pretty obvious. Everyone's got to be mounted or have fly X because we're a knight army.
Yeah, this list is basically chaos nomadic war. So nomadic chaos.
Who's betting we see this copied and pasted at least 2 more times throughout the rest of the Arcane Journals?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just disappointed the dwarves didn't get it, like with some pigs or some bears or something, to be honest.
I'd have bought 2 copies of the journal to show my support if they'd have done that, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd have framed one.
100%. Little piggy riders, it'd be sick.
Yeah. That would have converted me. As it stands, Chaos Dwarves have cavalry, you don't. Steeds of Darkness, next rule. When this is the good rule for the army. When you make a charge, flee, or pursuit roll, you can re-roll any natural one. Nice. It's good.
Decent. Basically,
it means you're going to be making contact.
Yeah, it's the same rule as Bretonia. It's good.
It's good. Yeah. And this is the next rule. This is why no one runs this army. Everything looked like sunshine and roses up until this point. But why do we play chaos? Because we like marks of chaos. And this rule stops you playing the army if you like marks of chaos. So for each character in your army that includes a mark of chaos other than undivided, it must also include a non-character unit with a mark of chaos and vice versa. So if you wanted 2 characters with a mark of corn, you need 2 non-character units with a mark of corn.
I know. I don't understand the reasoning for that. Like, you just can't make really thematic lists unless your thematic list in this is to paint an entire black army.
Now, there is one way that this list works really well, and it's slow grow leagues. So where you have a campaign going on where you're moving from warbands and becoming a great host, that rule's so cool and it works amazingly. If you want to take this army to a tournament, just run Grand Host instead. It's better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with like taking the grand armies is that you get a lot of the benefits from the Arcane Journal armies. Like you get you get most of the things out of them, but then you also get the really tasty stuff that's still in the grand army.
Yeah, and I mean the trade-off in here is chosen chaos chariots and re-rolling ones on the charge. Don't get me wrong, re-rolling ones on the charge is cool, and chosen chaos chariots hit like trucks.
I think the thing to remember with the re-rolling ones on charges, though, is that's really good. We're sitting here going, that's potentially a reason to play the army, but that's not a rule in Bretonia that anyone even cares about. Like that's not even mentioned as being a good Bretonia rule. So
no. And how many 2s do you roll with your Gromril armor?
Yeah.
You know, or it's just one of them, isn't it?
Oh,
so
yeah.
as much as I love this list for narrative purposes in any sort of competitive way, if you manage to get this list working in a competitive nature, I bow down to your superior wargaming testicles.
I mean, there's going to be someone that's doing absolutely amazing with this, and they're just going to be watching this going, "You guys are idiots."
Do you know what? And compared to you, sir, I am. So, shall we get into some special characters, Richie? The bit that everyone knows and loves.
Ooh,
so we got a new
Frydaal.
one here. And as of time of recording, the rumors go we're seeing her model within the next week or so, which is very exciting. So Frydaal the
I
chainmaker.
have
She
not seen those
is,
rumors at all. Where have you seen them?
yeah, yeah. It's been whipping itself around the interwebs that we're going to get to see all the models for special characters are finally going to get their releases before Christmas.
Oh,
That's what
amazing.
the rumor
I
mills are
apparently
saying.
have been living under a rock for the last week then.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know. But Frydaal, they've said she's got a model coming anyway. Yeah, G-Dub has said. So she's an exalted champ, and you can put her in any Chaos army that you could put an exalted champion in. So she works in Wolves of the Sea. You can't take her in the Heralds list because she doesn't have a horse. So running over her stats, she's an exalted champion with an extra pip of leadership. So that's nice. 235 points. Her special rules are all there. But the ones that matter, any enemy standard catch by Frydaal is worth 100 VP. So that's cool. But how many standards do we see, Richie?
Yeah, I mean, in your home games when you're playing with your mates and down the club, there's going to be lots of units for standards. In competitive play, you're only going to be, well, dwarves really.
2 per army? Tops?
Yeah, 100%. Like, but that
Yeah.
is could potentially get you the win though. Getting an extra
Good.
200 VP, it's good. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's there. So next one, unless she's fleeing, all Marauders get +1 to their leadership. So that's cool.
Hmm,
Um, Next bit's the reason you take her though. 0 to 1 unit of Chaos Marauders or Marauder Horsemen in the same list as Frydaal can have ambushes for free. So that means if you put her in Grand Army, you can actually get ambushing Marauders still in your Grand Army. So it's not
I
just in
like it.
Wolves of the Sea. Yeah. And if she's your general, you can add +1 or -1 to the result to see if they come on. So that's cool. No, she can't do that to any beastmen. It's just to Marauders.
I mean, I
She's
get
got
it.
she's got pretty tasty weapon as well. Strength 2, AP1, D3 extra attacks. It's pretty cool. It's a mega flail basically.
Yeah, no. To
Um,
be fair, I do quite like her. I think she has a place in some armies. Like if you're going to be wanting to add like kind of ambush behind enemy lines, I think it's quite good.
Mhm.
I think definitely have some play into Mortuary Cult probably, where you can pop up to try and kill all of the castle characters that are down by the
Oh
bloody
god, yeah.
caskets.
If you're spending more than 200 points on ambush upgrades across your army, she's worth taking.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. If you're not, no, don't.
Time for the Great Drake.
Yep. So here's one of the 3 dragons I was talking about.
The
So
worst
Galrauch,
one.
yeah, the hardest put together model, well, to keep together model I've ever had as well.
Oh, I've never even tried. I think
This thing
like
just you breathe on it and it falls into pieces.
yeah, I wanted one of these as a kid, but I don't think that my my hobby skills have ever been good enough to work on one of these. I just
No,
don't
I've
think I
seen the
could
way
keep.
you
Yeah,
store
I just
your
couldn't keep it
armies.
together.
Yeah, it wouldn't survive in the shoebox. So Galrauch is 465 points, is a dragon, is a level 4 wizard, but is locked to dark magic. So I find dark magic is one of the laws where you have to build your army around it because
I
it doesn't
also
slot
find
in.
dark magic just, for me personally, slightly terrible. Like I don't know. Like Phantasmagoria's cool. I think
Yeah.
everything else is just slightly rubbish. I think I don't know.
Well,
I've never really struggled playing against dark magic, and then in some games where I have played over armies,
mhm,
and I've used dark magic myself. I just haven't really done anything. Obviously, that is because I haven't written my entire list around that magic. But I don't know. Like,
yeah.
there's the buffs aren't good enough. The debuffs aren't good enough for me personally. The magic missiles
There's
horrendous.
one big problem with dark magic is the range. It's all very close range, so it's hard to use. Putting it on a dragon, yeah, I can see it working. But if he had literally any other law, I'd be really on board with it.
Ah,
So
like why doesn't Galrauch have access to Pillar of Fire? Like this is one of the only models that doesn't have access to Pillar that I don't understand. To that in Chaos Dwarves.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Epoxy Wood Elf can get Pillar of Fire, but Galrauch the Fire Drake can't.
I, I wish I had an answer for you. He's more survivable than a normal dragon as well. So he's got a 3-up save, he's got a 5-up regen. And he does a breath weapon that can just make people go out of existence. Can. It's a big if. Um, yeah, it's
It's
game
cool though.
winning, but then to use it, you've got to put Galrauch next to the big scary to use it in flame template range. So if you don't do it, so if you do it but you don't succeed, Galrauch dies. because it's going to get charged by the big scary. So yeah, be careful.
Yeah, for anyone that hasn't actually seen the Breath of Change yet, if he does that onto a Dragon Lord, for instance, if they roll a 6, they just explode and die, which is
Yeah,
pretty funny,
it's a
really.
toughness test. If you fail, model removed from play. Just end of story. So it
Which,
means that
yeah, like
yeah,
against elves and stuff, that's really good. Against
yeah.
the dragon monsters, they have to roll a 6, but if they do roll a 6, then they're dead. So that's pretty good. I like it. All right. So the Spirit of Galrauch.
So this is, I don't know if you remember the 6th edition rules, Richie, but this is very much more gentle. So back in the days of 6th edition, it was a leadership test, and if you super failed it, I got Galrauch for the turn, and you got to sit there and cry.
Yeah, but this was back in the days when named heroes were utterly, utterly shit.
They were really bad, yeah. Now it's not that bad. So it's still a leadership test at start your turn on Galrauch's leadership. If you pass Wicked, it's your dragon. If you fail, it's still your dragon, but he's only a level 1 wizard. He gets random movement 2d6, and if he's in combat, he has to attack d3 of his attacks against himself, and they count to your enemy's combat res. So yeah, he's leadership 9. You're not failing it often, but you know when you are failing it,
When you
that
need it to
moment,
happen. Yeah.
yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah,
that pivotal moment, turn 6. You're like, right, if I win this combat, I've won the game. Ah, I've hit myself.
yeah, yeah. And I lose by 1, and I flee, and you run my dragon down. Yay! For that reason alone, I would never put personally. I would never put him in a competitive list.
No.
There are going to be people who do, and they breath of change the scariest thing on the board immediately, and they pass every leadership test and they scream a 5-0. I'm not that lucky.
No, I mean, if people aren't aware, but there's a guy playing in the UK tournament scene called Jack Cropper, and he took the triple dragon list, so Galrauch, the Warpfire dragon, and he was either a lord or a sorcerer on a dragon. I can't remember which one
Yeah.
it was. But he basically lost all 3 dragons to Ed's one dark elf dragon that went and nommed all of them, which is just
Really?
insane.
Wow. This is it. I actually think the Dark Elf Dragon is the best one, um, personally,
Yeah, I mean
because of the
the access
loadouts
to
you
a
can put
4 up
on it.
board, like it doesn't matter how much fun, crazy tech you've got with a 4 up board, you're all right.
Well, everyone has access to a 4-up board. It's just Dark Elves get it at, I think, 60% of the price as everyone else.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that's Galrauch. I like him. He's cool. He's fun. His lore is incredible. If you want to go back and read his lore, it's not in this book. It's in the 6th edition army book. It's really, really cool. Um, Elven dragon that was golden scales, and that's why there's 2 bits of gold on him on the model. Really sick.
Right up. So next up, we're going to be talking about some of the more mortal units in the book. Well, I say mortal; they're from the Chaos Wastes, but these are the
Yeah.
Marauder tribe chieftains. So, what do you reckon to these, mate? Are you going to be running these in your skin wolves?
No, and that's only because I'm going character light. But if I was going wide on Marauders, I'd take these in droves. I would. What the limit would be how many my tournament allows me to take, because they're 65 points for a Marauder on crack. It just
Yeah, I
looks
mean, like
great.
stat wise for the points, it's insane. 65 points for that stat line is crazy.
Yeah, and then you can give them magic items. You can't give them mutations. That's a big point. But you can still give them 50 points of chaos items. So some good stuff in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I don't think that I don't think they should have mutations. I think you need to save that for the warriors.
Mhm.
Like, just thematically, I think.
But I mean, even if we're not talking magic items, Mark of Corn and a flail is 78 points.
Yeah.
That's nothing, you know.
No, no,
You
exactly.
can you can go on a Warhorse too, which is a new addition because previously we've only had Bardic Chaos Steeds. This one's got countercharge, fast cab, and swift stride, and it's light cab. So it means that you can put a character inside your Marauder Horseman now, and they won't lose skirmish. So that's really big.
Yeah, which is always nice. Like, I'd almost be tempted to put a few of these in a unit. So have like I don't know, maybe like on horseback or on foot if you're going to arcane urgency them around. Maybe have half of the frontage of your unit being these. So maybe you can get like some sneaky flail attacks in. Like you can get a hyper focused amount of attacks going with that.
This is what I mean. So you're only limited by how many your tournament allows you. If there's no cap, I take 6 of these straight away
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
load them up. You know. Even just running around of one-obs as redirectors, I think they're cheap enough on a horse to just go and cause some chaos. Go hunt a war machine.
Yeah, definitely. And then you're going to have to use resources to try and deal with that anyway. So,
Hmm.
like 65 points, it's good.
And
I mean,
that's six. That's
that,
six, and it comes with a baked-in 6-up ward. That's nuts.
yeah, it's so good. I mean, that's the same cost as a gyrocopter, and you can send it off to do exactly the same job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it comes with ambushes baked in too. It just
Ah,
yeah, it's great. It's great. I love them. Not going to be using them in the skim rules, but like I say, that's just because I'm going really character light on it. The next one, we're going into more infantry now. So this is again another new unit for us. It's the Berserkers. I adore
ooh,
these.
yeah, I
Oh, they're
like these. I
so
think these are
good.
really, really good.
8 points a model. They're really 9 because you are giving them flails. You're always giving them flails. They are basically a boosted Marauder, so they've got an extra point of movement, an extra point of toughness. They come with light armor, and you can make them ambushes for another point of model. So that's 10 points for a frenzied, skirmishing, flail wielding ambusher. It's insane.
All of the
Yeah, they've
attacks.
got a 6-up ward save against all non-magical attacks, and you'd be surprised how often that comes through. It's crazy. I think these make, if you have no other options, a really good target for your pre-game challenge. For the head taker, who's the champion in here, there's 3 attacks at weapon skill 4, strength 5, AP 2, and he's got a 6-up ward against most things coming back to it. Flails, they thought about it. They were very specific. It's in the first round of combat. So if you fall back in good order or if you give ground, flails, you still get the AP, but you don't get the strength bonus.
Well, sticking with the AP is still really good though.
But yeah, I played it wrong in the first 2 games until a very knowledgeable friend of mine said, "Actually, Tom, you're talking about your ass." But I love these. I think they work great in a cloud of 20. I think they work great in MSU. A 20 is much harder to use, admittedly. And you might want to start thinking about putting them in open order as opposed to skirmish at that point. But they're great. They're really good.
Yeah, I think like if you're running kind of blocks of infantry, maybe having a few units of these in skirmish to kind of deal with stuff that's going to be coming up behind you. So like if you're playing against like wood elves or anything that's trying to be tricksy, at least you've got something that can move backwards and forwards and get around that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Thing to be careful of with this is be careful of the frenzy bait. They are movement 5. They do have warband. They're going to make that charge more often than not. So someone can just stand 11 inches away from you and really mess with your game plan. So just be careful.
That is always the issue of taking, especially stuff with Mark of Corn. And that's always been the problem with taking stuff with Frenzy. Like, and Chaos has always had this issue, like traditionally in every edition.
Hmm.
Like, if you're playing a Chaos army, you've kind of got to expect to be Frenzy baited a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and it's learning how to adapt.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Right, so let's have a look at the next unit. So, this is something that Tom is building his army around. This is the Skinwolves. He's trying to do a Skinwolf Death Star, which is actually pretty cool.
It's looking fun. So skim wolves, you look at the stat line, you think, what's there to write home about? That's an ogre with weapon skill 5. Yes, it is. You're right. Um, it says 40 by 40 there, but Games Workshop has, if you issued a statement, they've been shipped with 50s, they're being played on 50s. So any of you who are building them at home, don't put them on the 40s, put them on the 50 they came with. The special rules is the reason you take this unit.
Oh,
So
it's
Blood
so good.
Rage, it doesn't have it written down here. It's a Beastman rule, basically. Blood Rage and Primal Fury, they're both part of the same rule. So Primal Fury is you make a leadership test at the start of combat. If you pass it, you reroll ones to hit for the whole unit. Blood Rage is if you roll a double on that test, the unit becomes frenzy. So the important thing to note here, as it stands right now, the whole unit gets that effect. And this is where the Death Star idea comes in, because once you load characters into this unit, it starts getting gnarly. Now, before we go any deeper into this idea, this is not a friendly game idea. This is not a beer and pretzels game idea. This is not a take it to your local Friday night and just surprise someone with it idea. This
Don't
is
do this at home, kids.
no, but if you do, talk to your friend and just say, look, this is some bullshit. This is a response to 3 dragons. That's what this list is. It's you're taking 3 dragons, you're taking 2 necro sphinxes, you're taking triple gorgon. I'm bringing this. This is my
Yeah,
response. to that.
Yeah, it's the no fun kind of list, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
we'll get to it in a second, but just the fact that you could potentially proc all of these abilities 4 times is
Yes.
just absolutely great. We'll talk about how you can proc it 4 times in a minute. Like that is a
Yeah.
big if. It's never going to happen apart from that
No.
one like Hail Mary game where it does. Um,
Hmm.
and and then your opponent will start kind of like throwing stuff at you. I think if that does all go off,
Yeah.
like, a
So
table
these
flip time, I reckon.
so this unit is a special rule combo breaker. So they come stock with regen 5. They're skirmishers, swift stride, open order, and then warped form is this table at the bottom here. And this is where it starts getting gross real fast. So step 1.1 of any choose and fight phase. This is before challenges are declared. This is before move through the ranks. This is right up at the beginning of combat. You choose one of the 3 buffs. So, first one, enlarge claws, you gain an extra AP and armor bane 2.
Pretty
Second
good.
one, gain extra attack. The third one, Richie.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I've seen this in action. It is amazing. I've spoke to a couple of people like Oos, who's TOing the
Great
Toronto
lad.
Square event. I was speaking to him the other day, and we were talking about your ideas for what to do with the skin wolves, and he was just like, "Oh, nah, they're a bit rubbish. Like I just can't see the point in using them." And I was like, "Well, if you chuck them in open order," and he was like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." And then we were talking about like talking about these procking, and he'd never considered that you could pick the same one twice or 3 times or 4 times in a turn.
Yeah.
And I think he might be a skin wolf convert now, I think.
So we haven't explained what it does, but you get +1 toughness and increase your armor value by 2. Now, all of these buffs last until your next start of turn subphase. Not the next, your next. So, how this gets silly very quickly.
Yeah, so this is the spicy meatball of the unit. And I
Yeah,
wish that it wasn't intended like this, but I do genuinely think that
I
their
think it
intention
is.
was
I
to make
think
these
it
nuts.
is. I think when you are the mega brain gamer and you pull this off, this is your reward. It's hard to do, but you can do it. So, if you have multiple combats going on across the table and you chain the skin wolves, they win combat, they pursue or overrun, and they hit a fresh combat, they get to fight again. That means step 1.1 of the choose and fight combat substep happens again. But your buff is still active from the combat you just fought. So you get to choose it again. And it applies to your whole unit again. And you get to roll Primal Fury again. And you get another chance of Blood Rage to proc again. So all these great things happen. And then it's your opponent's turn. And you're in another combat because you beat that last one because you're already a demigod and you've overrun into another one. And then if you're super lucky, you overrun a 4th time. And you now have a potential to turn these skin wolves with no character investment whatsoever into 2-up save, toughness 8 monstrosities.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the max you can get to is toughness 10 in a turn. I think so.
You can do
Obviously,
it in it, yeah.
yeah, so you can get to toughness 10. For those of you who don't know, basically, if you have a unit that's locked in combat with another unit, and then you have your skin walls off to the side, or any unit can do this. So if you win combat and overrun into an existing combat that hasn't fought yet, you then get to attack again with the unit that did the overrun, which then means you got the 2 lots of buffs from the skin wolves, and then you can get more buffs going into this one, which is horrendous. I mean, if
Yeah.
like you'd have to really misplay your army for that to go off, but it's definitely going to happen because you can't see everything happening on the table at once, can you? So someone's going to get it off.
So here's the thing. What is a really common tactic to deal with Death Stars? You feed it chaff. You just let it grind through chaff. What does this unit want to do, Richie? It wants to grind through chaff. It wants to get stronger and stronger. And then it arrives at the dragon and it goes, I don't care.
I'd be really interested to see the Skinwolf Death Star can do going into like the vampire counts. Like, can it chew through 30 skeletons a turn? Potentially, I think it could.
But this is where, so with the skeletons, you don't choose the toughness and the armor value because who cares? You choose the extra
Attack.
attacks one.
Yeah.
So then you've got a champion with 5 attacks. If you've got Frenzy, that's a champion with 6 attacks. If you've got a character in there, you can get them up to 8. And yeah. I think you can. I think
Yeah,
I played against Tomb Kings with it recently, and it took down a unit of 7 Ushapti in 2 turns with an entire cast of Mortuary Cult bringing them back up. I think it
yeah,
was 46 wounds in 2 turns, something
nice.
like that.
Love to see it.
So and it's just grinding, 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 and that's how it does it. It's insane.
No, I do like
It's
it.
very counterable. Wood elves can love it, as we found out. I was very lucky to play against Ed of Close Order, and he shamed me, put me back in my little boy pants, and made me reevaluate my life choices.
Yeah, so for
Yeah,
those of you who don't know, Ed has decided to play dirty, dirty wood elves at the moment, and he's got a pretty degenerate list. I mean, it's the degenerate list, isn't it? But I think he's kind of taking it one step further by taking the dragon out. I think it works much better.
I feel like we can't blame him too much. It's his chat who are the degenerates. They chose it for him.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. This is
Yeah,
your fault, guys.
yeah, yeah. There's probably a few of you in here right now, so shame on you all. But yeah, I love them. They're cool. Like I say, if you're going to do that jank in a home game, just prepare your opponent. You know, I say this on nearly every channel, on every video I go on. The old world is a game that needs a rule zero chat, a turn zero chat, where you discuss what you're going to be playing with your opponent. No one
Yeah,
wants to play against 150 fanatics with no knowledge of what's going to happen. No one wants that. You
no,
know.
no, no.
However, if you tell me you're bringing 150 fanatics, hell yeah, I'm going to try and build a list to beat that.
Yeah,
You know.
that's the thing. As long as you both going into the game with a level of expectation. Like if
Yeah.
you know that you're going in with strong armies, then you can have a really good game against a strong army. There is absolutely no pride in destroying an opponent who's got a weaker army than you, and thinking that you're a master general. It's like you need to try to keep the levels the same to have a really good
Mhm.
game,
Yeah.
and then you can. Right, so next up, we've got the Marauder tribe huscarls. I actually really rate these. I think they're quite nice, versatile, light cavalry models, and
Mm.
I've seen these used quite effectively. Actually, like they're zippy, they're fast, they're good at shooting, they're good.
Yep. I usually real quick. These are toughness 4 Marauder horsemen who can take heavy armor, and they're in close order with counter charge and furious charge. So they're pretty kit. They're really cool. They can take all the same equipment as a Marauder horseman can take, including the same marks. They can take drilled, which is better. And they can put magic standards on their units, which is better. And the champion can take magic items. So this champion is also a really good candidate for your pre-game challenge. You can kit him out in a very similar way to a Chaos Warrior champion, but for a lot less points. And you've got a horse, and let's be honest, the horse is the one who's always going to kill him, not your champion.
Yeah, 100%. It is always the horse. I
Always the
really rate
horse.
these. I think they're really good. And I think they do fill a gap potentially that the Chaos book
Mhm.
didn't have before, which is nice.
I find it a real shame that these didn't make their way into the other Chaos list, the mounted one. It would have been really nice to have had these as a core option in there.
Yeah, the the mounted Chaos army, you're not allowed to take the new cool mounted unit.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
this would have been it would have been really nice. You know, if they'd have said you can't take Marauder Horseman, but you can take this. Cool. You know,
Yeah,
it would have added to the flavor even more. Like we're not letting those scummy little marauders into the army. Only the big boys can come in. Um,
yeah, like, stupid. I don't get it.
yeah, but let's be honest. If you're playing the what are they even called? Heralds? Is that Heralds of Darkness? If you're playing Heralds of Darkness, it's probably in a home game anyway. Just ask your opponent, can I use these instead of Marauder Horsemen? Because they're cool and have a great time. You know?
Yeah, exactly. We like some house rules. It's good. Enjoy
Yeah.
it. It's a game at the end of the day. Have fun.
Yeah, they're great though. I think they're phenomenal, especially with Mark of Corn. They're a force to be reckoned with. They are squishy. They're only a 4-up save, so be careful. I have the bad habit at the moment of looking at them and thinking they're Chaos Knights. They can handle things like Chaos Knights. And once they have the output of Chaos Knights, they can't take the hits that Chaos Knights can at all.
No,
So
no.
that's the thing to be careful.
All right, so next up, we've got the Chaos Chosen Chariots. Now, you said earlier that these hit like an absolute truck. So, do you want to explain why you think that?
Hmm. So these are the entire sum total reason to take the Heralds of Darkness list. Um,
Only one.
Well, this is it. This is your new unit that you get. It's the only place that you can take. So it's the same. The chariot is the same. Strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds. The cool thing, chosen charioteers. So they get 2 attacks each. They're weapon skill 5, strength 4 with halberds. So that's 2 attacks at strength 5, 81 per crewman, and there's 2 crewmen on there. So once you stick a character on there, you can really start chunking some stuff up. You could go the Chaos Lord route. Any Chaos Lord who's not on a dragon, I'm a big fan of right now because it's just something new and interesting and fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I would much prefer to see Chaos Lords going around on these, not just for the fact that I find dragons annoying. It's just for the fact that I feel that dragons are being slightly overdone at the moment. They are
yeah,
the flavor of the month.
yeah,
And
with the
to be
last
fair,
6 months.
yeah, exactly. Although I
Yeah,
would say like the anti-meta lists are probably the flavor of the month now, but I think
yeah,
a lot of people are just kind of over dragons a little bit. I think.
yeah. But they're very cool. They're wicked as character mounts. D6 plus 1 impact hits, AB2. They've got first charge. If you put Mark of Corn of them, 3 attacks coming off those charioteers is crazy. There's not much this is scared of. Unfortunately, I wish it did because it was a chosen chariot. I was praying it was going to get the ward save, but it doesn't. It's still got a 3-up armor save, but yeah, it's pretty sick.
But I suppose you're going to be putting the ward save on from the hero that's on it anyway. So
Oh yeah, so as a character mount, it doesn't matter. But I just, how the chosen warriors and the chosen knights, they get it. I was hoping these would too.
yeah,
But they
it,
don't.
it is a little bit of
It's cute. It's cute.
a. Right, let's have a look at the next one. Right, so I really like these. So this is a gigantic
Hmm.
spawn of chaos. I haven't managed to play against one of these yet, but I am absolutely terrified of going up against. There is a reason why I am absolutely terrified of these. It's the movement. It's a random movement. They don't have to declare charges. I can't stand and shoot them.
Yeah. Or fire and fleet. Now I know that's not something in your boathouse, but it's such a good anti-wood elf tech. You
Yeah,
know.
100%. I think these are amazing. Like anything that's T6 is just really strong in this edition anyway. So strength 6, T6, 6 wounds, D6 plus 1 attacks. Like they've got bloody what they got killing blow as well.
You can give them killing blow. So you went over the stat line. That's really cool. So it comes native with armor bane 2. It has stomp attacks D6. Other than that, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
So so these aren't marks. So you're not bound by them in heralds or anything like that. So you can have a spawn of corn, impact hits D3, and there's your killing blow. I really like the spawn of corn. It's my
Yeah.
second favorite. Because you're only doing random attacks with your D6 plus 1, having another way to output damage, phenomenal. Also, we glazed over. This thing is 145 points before you spend any more money on it. Like, come on. Come on. That's
It's
so cheap.
insane. It's absolutely insane. Like it has no business being this cheap at all.
I think the one thing that makes it this cheap is JTY was sitting there and goes, "What if you rolled triple one 6 turns in a row?"
That
I
would
think
never
that's just
happen. That will never happen.
Spawn of Nurgle. Now this is my favorite one. Poison attacks and regen 5-up. So it's got 5-up heavy armor just from being itself, and then regen 5 on top of that means it's actually getting there. It has low weapon skill as well, being weapon skill 3. So being able to chunk the damage across is great. You know.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, you're going to be hitting anything on weapon skill 5 on 5s, so just being able to try and get there, stay
Yeah.
in the combat enough to be able to get that AP2 across the board is really good. I mean, for this, it's the stomps that's going to be doing the most damage, I think, really.
Yeah, because it's AP2 flat, whereas it's normal attacks. All but one of them are AP1. One of them's AP2, but it's strike last. So,
Yeah, it's like
but
any behemoth. It's the stomps are always the decider for me, I think.
yeah, Slanesh for me is in hot contention with the corn one. Countercharge on this thing is crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so you picture this: you're the Bretonian player. You've managed to get into the point where you can finally nail this spawn. You've got it, and then it countercharges you, and it has strike first. Like, come on! It just goes no, No.
Oh, it's hilarious. I can't wait to see that at an event, and I'm gonna chuckle slightly when it just absolutely murders loads of Pegasus Knights.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the next one I really love because it's going to catch a Green Knight off guard.
Yeah,
Magical attacks, flaming attacks, and magic resistance too. So it just walks up to a banshee and farts on it and walks off.
I like it.
It's great.
They also deserve
Magical,
that type of treatment as well.
yeah. And I think I might be wrong, but I think this is the only instance of magical stomp attacks in the game without putting a character on.
I feel that Galrauch should.
But it's cool. It's cool. You can put these in Beastmen too, which is really cool.
I think that's where the
Uh,
strongest utility from this is going to come from. I don't think we're going to see too many of these in Chaos armies because there's too much. There's too much stuff that they've got to spend their points on already. Where in the Beastman army, I think these are a really nice addition, and they're
mhm.
also just a really nice anvil that the Beastman army kind of needs. Like a couple of
Yes.
extra D6 monsters kicking around that don't just fall over when you fart on them is probably
The day this book came out, I printed two of these for my Beastman army. The day it
yeah.
came. So I have been teetering backwards and forwards between putting two of these in the Skinwolf list or putting one of them in the Skinwolf list. One is certainly going in, a Nurgle one. I'm teetering on putting a Corn one in as well, because one thing the Skinwolf thing does lack is single situational output. It takes me time to build up to damage output, whereas I need something to go in and go bang and do damage, and a Spawn can very much do that. And like you say, it's a great anchor point as well.
I think more in your list with the Skinwolves and stuff. I think maybe Slanesh works better potentially.
Potentially getting across the board and actually dealing with elves and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, like
but this is,
one of the things you can't do that does pick up the slack. So I think that could be a good addition.
but certainly one of them is going in the list. In Wolves of the Sea, if you could take three, you could actually fit it in mathematically, but they're 0 to 1 per 1,000 points. So
Yeah, which is a shame. So the last of the entries that I want to look at today is the Warpfire Dragon. I hate these things. Why is there an unridden dragon that can be a trip save dragon? Come on.
but it's also a stone thrower, and it also turns off ward saves, and it can also be a wizard. Uh, like, come on! Like, I honestly, when I first opened this, I was like, did three people edit this and they forgot to break it down and they just stuck it one on top of the other?
Yeah,
It's nuts. It's not over. It's not undercosted though. It's for what it does, yeah, but it is nuts. So it's
yeah. Like I think
375 points for a rare slot dragon. That's cool.
like it's situationally amazing. The biggest downside, the biggest downside of all time with this, and why I don't think you're ever going to see anyone running it, is what you want this to do is you want to charge this into combat with your beefy dragon into the biggest block of the opponent or into their dragon, and you want to turn their wards off while your lord kills their lord, but you turn
Hmm.
off your own ward saves.
Chaos can do regen super easy.
You can, but if you want to trip save, like you're just turning off one of your really good saves. Like I just don't think
You
there's
are.
ever a situation where it's worth it.
The really funny thing is if you hit this thing with a magic item, you give it a trip save. That's the
Oh
that's the
yeah, magical attacks or flaming. What is every type of shooting in a dwarf army? Magical or flaming? Brilliant,
It's
brilliant.
crazy, isn't it? Crazy. So yeah, it is a dragon. It has a 4-up armor save. It has 5-up regen. It is a behemoth. It does D6 stomps. It has magic res 2 built into it. It has a 5-up ward if you hit it with magical damage. And oh yes, it's a stone thrower with range 6 to 24. And it's the exact same as your stone thrower as well. So it's 4/8 for
Yeah,
strength,
crazy.
-1, -3, and D3 +1 wounds, and it's still got bombard. But do you know what? This one can't blow itself up. It just does a wound on the misfire. But if it does die, it turns into a bomb. So everyone within 6 inches of it takes D6 strength 5 hits at AP2. So it stomps you from the afterlife.
Can't take your ward saves against that either because it's still technically there when it does it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, it's good.
My only thing with Chaos is an army that is already super elite and is already trying to squeeze points out of every single corner that they can. You're losing your entire rare allotment doing this because the only thing you can take after you take this is it some spawn, which see you're not. This takes up all of your rare. especially if you sink it in the extra 60 points to make it a wizard. At that point, and I've spoken to a lot of people who have been running the triple dragon, so 2 in the characters plus this one, and they go, "Man, I wish I had another 400 points of army on the table. Like, it just would be great."
It looks like a really good idea, like on paper, but I think when you're trying to use this in an army where you've already got some really expensive stuff on the board, it's just you just can't. I don't think
So I
it's
think if
all
you are
eggs
going to run
in
this,
one basket, isn't it?
yeah, I think to get the most out of this and to get real mileage out of this, you actually maybe look at chariot characters, a big core where it's not just MSU Knights and Forsaken, it's some more things going on, so you've got more board presence, and then you Warpfire Dragon, because then whilst you are sacrificing still about a quarter of your army, you're not sacrificing a quarter of your board presence. I think that's where it comes in.
Right. So, lastly, we're going to talk about some of the magic items. Now, we're not going to list all of these because some of them are crap. But what we're going to do
Yeah,
is talk the best bits and pick the ones that we would probably want to use in our games and which one Tom is using in some of his games.
yeah. So starting off with the magic weapons, the first one we'll ignore. The second one, Dagger of the Dark Pantheon. Now this one's real cool. It's spicy, and I'm yet to figure out how to use this yet. You put it on a wizard. It's AP2 magical attacks, but for each wound an enemy unit loses as a result of the attack, you get +1 to your next casting or dispel roll. So that can get nutty real fast. I know Max over at Barefoot Gaming has been trying to get this to work with Spectral Doppelganger and Wizarding Hat for the longest time. But it doesn't work. But one
No.
day he'll roll that spell and he'll do it, and it'll be the coolest thing ever.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
But yeah,
like it's only ever going to work on assailments as well, which does make it slightly annoying. Unless I suppose you can pop out of combat, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. That's what I mean. I haven't taken it yet. 35 points is a lovely place for it to be at as well. Perfectly costed. Great little item. I think this is made for demon princes, but I haven't figured out how to use it yet. The next one, I only want to talk about it because I want to complain to whoever decided the points value. So it's 30, right? How many can champions take? They take 25. What does this one do? Gives you +1 to hit in a challenge. This is a sword made for champions, and champions can't take it.
It's a
If
nightmare.
he's 20.
I love the fact it's even called the Chieftain's Blade, and a chieftain can't have it.
No, sorry, no. The Marauder tribe chieftain, the new character, can take it. The next one's really cool though. Taskmaster's Scourge. So, model whose troop type is infantry only. This is what stopped me taking it. During the command phase of their turn, you take a leadership test. If you pass it, you gain an extra D3 movement onto your units. This is before you declare charges. It's pretty cool, pretty tasty. Yeah. Other than that, it's just a sword of might with +1 attack. But yeah, it's cool. It's nice. Like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Just going through the rest of the items then. So from the new ones, Talisman of the Carrion Crow is pretty cool. It's another way to get regen in your list, and it's 5 points more than the other one, so you're paying 5 points for poison. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, like poison's always fun.
Yeah, the next one's really nice as well. So you might say, but why are you paying for a ward save on chaos characters? The chieftain doesn't get one, or he only gets a 6 up rather. So this gets magic resistance 2. So Obsidian Lodestone versus this, you're not paying that much for it.
No,
It's pretty cool.
magic
With the
is
stand,
amazing.
yeah, with the standard of it, it's nice. It's nice. Speaking of standards, magic standards, 50 points for Magic Res 3. How'd you feel about that?
I personally would do that. I would pay for that.
Yeah,
But that's only because I
feels,
don't have a spellcaster.
yeah, for you, you're like, oh, more magic resistance, aces. For me, I
Yeah.
pay for that, then play nothing but dwarves for a weekend because that's the way my luck
Yeah.
works. Right?
Well, at
The
least
next
you're
one's
stopping
real
the
cool.
ambush spell going off. So,
Oh, whoa, whoa. But
going
it's
in
the
the book,
worst
mate.
one.
Going in the book.
The worst one of your 4 spells is the magic missile. Like they're all good, but the worst one is the magic missile. The rest of them are
No,
the
no.
good ones.
I still have never ever rolled 12 hits with that ever. Never
No,
ever happened.
no.
Like I've never ever
Uh, uh,
rolled 20 on the organ gun as well. Like I've played, I've got to say, probably about
Oh,
40
I
games
did it
with
the
an
other
organ
day.
gun.
It was great.
I've never done it. I've never ever done it.
Yeah,
And I just
yeah, I've done it. It's great. It's because mine wasn't an organ gun; it was the better version, the Iron Demon. So do that.
all right, mate.
Um,
So it's when you walk around events and you see an Empire player and they're like, "Oh, I rolled 30." It's like, what?
yeah, no, Hellblasters seem to do it more often. I don't get it. Um,
Yeah,
the next banner in here is pretty cool. You can only do it in the Heralds army, but what this basically reads as your chosen knights gain Vanguard.
really good.
That's
I really rate
ignore.
Vanguard.
Yeah, it's whoever takes it takes Vanguard, but you put this in your chosen knights. But yeah, pretty cool, pretty cool. Um, the other bits, nothing too crazy. And
No,
there's some fun stuff going on here. There's a new enchanted item that gives you the summoning, but it's 40 points, and the summoning's a hard spell to cast, and it's only bound to, so I'm not sure on it. Demon Forge Barding is a nice one too, so gives it's only in a Heralds list, but all the mounts get +1 attack. So Chaos mounts are pretty good anyway. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing too crazy going on. You're already loaded up in the Chaos Grand Army with some very good magic items. The Connor one's great too. I feel that this is not the most world breaking of the Arcane Journals so far, and I think it'll actually do the least in terms of altering play other than the addition of Warpfire dragons.
yeah. Like I
My
think
opinion.
for me personally, I think this is on par with the dwarf one. I think the Bretonia and the Tomb Kings are leagues ahead with their books. Don't get me wrong, there is some really cool stuff in this, and there's some really nice plays. And I think as
Mm.
well, the armies haven't been solved yet, like because it is so new. I
Yep.
do think that there could be some really cool builds come out that we haven't even thought of yet. I think.
Well, we get to see Beastmen, Empire, Wood Elves, and High Elves.
Yeah,
Three of those are armies that are consistently in the top 30% of most events. High Elves,
yeah,
Beastmen, Wood Elves. So it'll be really interesting to see what gets done with those when the time comes, and hopefully by the end of next year we'll have them all. You know,
yeah, exactly. And then potentially even some more armies. Who knows?
that'd be great. I mean, Cathay is almost a given at this point, being that it's in the rule book. It's a when, not an if.
Yeah.
And Kids Lev too. So hopefully they come. We can just show support, shout loudly, and remember to say Chaos Dwarves are a real army whenever you're shouting, so we get a book too.
Yeah, I know. I think you've just got to just play the game. If you don't like some of the rules, then that's fine. I mean, hopefully they'll get round to changing some eventually. Like, obviously, we're still in the first edition. We're still a relatively new game. Stuff hasn't had time to get fixed yet. So it's just give it a chance, and it will hopefully get better for you. I mean, I'm really enjoying it currently. I know you are as well, Tom. But hopefully it will get
Yeah.
to a point where we can kind of go, right, it's pretty much fixed now. Obviously, we've still got some teething problems. Pillar of fire.
Well, so I saw something today. You actually sent it to me, which was for the Welsh Open event that's going on at Firestorm next year.
Mhm.
And they've done something which I've not seen anyone do yet. Someone might have done it first, but they're the people who I've seen do it first, which is introduce objective-based mission play, and that
So,
just in itself is going to do a lot.
yeah, so I've actually played in an event that used objectives, um, but some of the missions were a bit weird. You got to get into your opponent's deployment with units with banners, and the most units by the objective in your opponent's deployment wins. And it's like stuff like that. I'm not a massive fan on, but like holding the objectives in certain part of the board, I like that. I think it's good. I
Yeah,
think it could be a
yeah.
nice place to go.
There is a deployment zone one, but it's just every unit with unit strength or higher that you have in your opponent's deployment at the end of the game, you score points. Nice and simple, nice and easy. It's going to be, even for dwarves, that's very doable. You have the methods to do it now. In 6th edition, I'd have looked at that and gone, oh, that's a bit rough for dwarves. But you can do it now. Your anvil's not coming across, but he's not unit strength 10. Who cares?
Yeah,
Everyone else
exactly.
can.
Just yeet. Just yeet.
Just yeet. Yeah, I mean, I'd do it turn one and just say, right, can you take the right of your deployment? I'm going to have the left, and then we'll fight here. Cool.
Yeah, with your just one mega Death Star unit, and just be like, right, kill me. I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. But yeah, I think the game's in a good place, and I think the more events that we see, and the more TOs that are brave enough to take their own spin on missions, I think that's going to be really, really healthy for the community. Um, I see the missions that are in the rulebook. They're very much in the same way that I was a chef for many years, and I see it the same way I see a recipe in a book. It's a guideline, nothing more. They don't know than you. They just knew how to start. That's
And it's going to be in a really, really good place soon. And I think the Chaos Journal is opening some people's eyes to some fun other ways to play the game as well. I just love all the journals. I think they're great. I know obviously some of the armies aren't the most competitive in the world, but they had a lot of flavor. I really like them.
the armies which people are saying aren't competitive. Ed seems to be taking personal umbrage with, and then taking them on to win tournaments. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with Ogre Kingdoms, because he's done Skaven. I don't think he won with Skaven, but he did very, very well with them. Didn't
Yeah, like I think he could have won an event with Skaven if he just kept pushing, but I think Jack Allen's going to go for that.
Yeah, so I can't wait for him to get bored of elves and then look at Ogre Kingdoms, because how in the hell he's winning tournaments with that, I don't know. But it's going to be really cool when he does, because that's the way his
Oh,
brain works.
I think
Yeah.
it's going to be glorious to see. Right, I think we've probably rambled off for long enough now. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I'd just like to thank my newest member, Magic Machek, who's been very kind enough to join as a channel member. If any of you would like to join, you can below. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for coming, Tom.
Pleasure, Richie. Really enjoyed it.
Perfect. Right. See you later, everyone. Goodbye.